Hello and welcome to another webinar about upcoming Akka features. This time we're going to talk about StreamRefs, a new feature in Akka 2.5.10. I'm Konrad Malawski from the Akka team, and I'm going to talk to you about how these features will impact how you can design systems using Akka. So if you're familiar with Reactive Streams, StreamRefs basically take these semantics and put it over the network, explicitly on an element by element basis. Because Reactive Stream semantics, just for backpressure, we already have in Akka since day one, basically, when we implemented Akka HTTP. And so it does it on the TCP level, but now we also do it on a element by element level. You can think of it as messaging. And the best way to think about StreamRefs is like ActorRef, but for Akka Streams. So it's very simple to use. You just pass the reference around and then you can just materialize it as if it was a local source or a local sink. So basically you get the location transparency you're used to from actors, but for streams. What it is not, so it's definitely not a direct competitor to things like Flink, Spark, etc. because it's on a slightly different abstraction level. So it's really a point-to-point data transfer thing. So it works perfectly if you want to transfer in a flow controlled fashion some work requests or some data from one point to the other, for example in integration systems or in data ingestion systems, or any kind of flow controlled just message passing that you want to do. For example, send work requests from one actor system to another. Previously this would have been doable with some manual work. Now it's basically automatic. So to clarify what we talk about here is, basically you want to avoid this situation, that you're overwhelming the downstream. So on the left hand side, that's us the server requesting some things from another server, and the other one is definitely overwhelmed. It can't handle these things and it will eventually start either blowing up these requests or just backpressuring in some way it can do. If this was HTTP calls, usually would be 503 responses. If we then want to deal with this somehow, we need to slap circuit breakers around the requesting, implement some throttling logic, etc, etc. Now with StreamRefs, this becomes incredibly simple because we just offer someone a SourceRef. We say, hey, I have data available for you to consume. The other side, when it's ready to, can just run it, and then we automatically control the rate of data flowing through this SourceRef. So this is basically on the bottom here, this Reactive Streams protocol we all know and like from Akka Streams, only pushed over the network. So yes, this does need a Akka implementation on the other side. However, I'm going to show you how easy it is to use, and this is basically the gain here, the ease of use of getting all these features with basically 2 lines of code. So, to explain the SourceRef, imagine you have some source, you want to share some data, you have some measurements, some metrics you want to share to the remote side. It can be any source, it could be an alpaca source or anything really. Then you materialize it using the SourceRef. So basically you have a source, you use the SourceRef to obtain the SourceRef. Then you can send the SourceRef over to the other side, and the other side can simply run it. So it would be something like data offer .source run with my sink. And then we establish this connection in the background. You're done. So code-wise, it's basically 3 operations. Materialize the source on the left-hand side, send the materialized SourceRef, and then just run it. Everything else is happening automatically. The same can be also done with sinks. This feels a bit like passive mode in FTP, where you say, hey, I am ready to consume data. So we have prepared some data sink, and we materialize it again. So we use a SinkRef to obtain a SinkRef object. We send it over to the remote side. The remote side has obtained a SinkRef, and they can use it as a sink. So in Java you would have to call getSync, in Scala it's just .sync. So we have both APIs here. And to showcase a full example how this looks like, this is all the types and all the actor code that would go into such system. The interesting part, StreamRefs regarding, is the green one. So we do logs, so because we want to offer some logs, run with SourceRef, and then we get a SourceRef back and we can send it to whoever wants to receive the data. On the consuming side, it's very simple. We just receive the message, so here I called it logs offer. The logs offer contains the SourceRef, and we simply get the source out of it and run it. In Scala you get a bit of sugar, so you don't have to do the get source, but basically it's the exact same code. In the future we want to introduce abstractions which look exactly the same, but would use a side channel on a separate TCP connection. For example, if you have really big messages that you want to send over, for example an entire log file, you previously would have to drop to the TCP or HTTP layers manually, and now you'll be able to do it with just Akka Streams. Another thing, this API may change slightly, so we have currently marked it as main change. The only reason is that we want to get rid of future in the materialized value, making it even easier to use. So if you're curious about it, check our blog and check the reference documentation, all linked here. And thank you for listening. Hope this was useful and see you on the next webinar.